Hello, Capricorn. Happy birthday, first of all. We're entering Capricorn season, and I'm here to do the reading for Capricorn season. And it's going to be Aquarius season at the end of Capricorn, so it's the month of January. Also, Happy New Year, right? I'm posting these videos before the end of the year, but yeah, it's a good time to reflect on what did this year bring to us, how we related to our experiences this year, and also yeah, the New Year's resolution. I find it interesting though that yeah, it's still it's the middle of Capricorn season. It's not going to be like the beginning of the zodiac year. It's actually Aries, right? That's the number one, the first sign, the self, the who am I. So this transition in the calendar new year is it's still in the middle of Capricorn, which we're not the end of the cycle yet. We haven't gone through all the houses and having a full revision of the self that will start again in Aries. But Capricorn is a really good season for action, for taking everything that we've been contemplating on in Sagittarius season and putting it out into the world. Capricorn is how's it called? A cardinal sign. So it can move mountains. Yes, you can, Capricorn. You're very, very strong. Power, commitment, and yeah, a lot of action. Well, anyway, it's you've had a tough year, a really tough year, Capricorn. Like seriously, you had the south node of the moon was in Capricorn for so long. Saturn and Pluto are now in Capricorn, which are tough. I mean, like, yes, Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn, but it's not exactly a very permissive ruler, you know. It's very strict, very let's do what we gotta do, and it's all about karma, and it's all about limitations and going through those limitations and yeah, hopefully expand. But now Jupiter entered Capricorn, so you're going to have Jupiter with you for a while, and working with Jupiter is great in so many ways, but it's also going to be tough in some other, because it's going to light up everything that, like, the Saturn is all about limitation and Jupiter is all about expansion, you know, and it's gonna probably going to find those points of like that they're pushing on in each other. And Saturn is at home in Capricorn as well as Jupiter passes through. So we're going to feel this tension. We're all going to feel it, but you're going to feel it more than everyone else, I suppose. And you know, Pluto is all about transformation, is all about death, is all about change, is all about like all those very deep and dark themes. Oh gosh, it's so much going on. Venus, I think, at least as I'm doing this reading, is still in Capricorn. She's softened up a little bit, this whole dynamics. I think she's moving into Aquarius as we enter Capricorn season. But yeah, it's a lot going on. And as I said, it's been a tough year. It's really been a tough year for Capricorns out there. Six of Swords, but here we are. We're moving forward from this, all right? I'm saying we have Capricorn rising, so I'm right there with you, full disclosure. I don't do the readings taking myself much into consideration, though. When I focus on the reading, I focus on the reading. And to be honest, I actually what the readings for my signs later on and see how I relate to them. But what I'm doing is generally I connect to whatever and a group of Capricorns out there that connect to this energy that I'm picking up, you know. There is always a group. It's not going to resonate with all Capricorns out there. All right. So you have the Six of Swords as your current energy. Let's see What's your challenge? Okay, so the challenge is the Two of Pentacles. Just gonna pull them up. The Star is your focus. The Three of Swords is your advice. And the Empress as future energy. Well, thank God for that. And the Nine of Swords as your underlying theme. So here we go. We're having this talk, Capricorn. We're having this talk about anxiety and fear and repressed thoughts and sleepless nights and the dark night of the soul, pretty much, isn't it? But before we go into this conversation, let's clarify these cards. Where? Okay, seems Crowley wants to grow on me these days. I think I used it for the last readings as well from the Sagittarius season. I don't often use him, that's why I'm surprised. Okay, let's clarify these cards here. Let's take this conversation a little bit deeper. So here we have the Devil with the Six of Swords. All right, the Devil. I think I'm going to put this down a little bit to see the cards better. And then we have the Knight of Discs with the Two of Pentacles as your challenge. The Seven of Swords with the Star, and in this deck it's called Futility, as your focus. Talking about those limitations, eh? Love, the Two of Cups with the Three of Swords as your advice. Great. And we have the Ten of Cups with the Empress as your future energy. Hooray. It's called, I don't know how to read this, never mind, you read it for yourself. I don't know why I have problems with this. I've read it before, but all right, so here we go. Damn. The Five of Cups, disappointments, with the Nine of Swords as your theme, the theme of this month. Don't freak out though, the energy is quite supportive, right? But this is something that's been on the back of your head for a long time now. Disappointment. It's fear of disappointment more than the actual disappointment, I think. And in this month, I mean, like, see where this is going, right? With the Empress and the Ten of Cups, it's going great. But this month, you're going to have to finally take the devil by the horns. And really allow yourself to go to the bottom of the well and see what keeps you up at night. Really have a talk maybe with the parts of you that are so terrified of this, of putting yourself out there, of feeling disappointed, actually, more than being disappointed by someone else or disappointing someone else. It's just that feeling of disappointment, like completely not even put in a context, you know. It's just like, oh my God, just that fear of disappointment. Because you felt a lot of disappointment in the past. And you feel maybe that, okay, I'm connecting again with just a group of you and I'm just speaking what comes through, so I'm not going to edit much. Those of you that don't resonate, just don't resonate. Usually I have that disclaimer in the beginning. So this is a general reading for Capricorn, Sun, Moon and Rising signs. If it resonates, it resonates. And if it doesn't, it's just not your reading. So I'm sure that if you're in this group of people that resonate with this, you'll know immediately, because it's a quite specific type of energy, right? So if you're not in there, don't fear that this will come to you, because it won't. You're just not there. It's fine, perfect. But if you're there, well, stay with me. Let's go through this. Let's talk this through, because it's important. It's really important to see how we relate with disappointment, and to understand that if we've been disappointed in the past, it doesn't necessarily mean that whatever comes in the future is going to lead there too. Because we are, the energy is changing, the energy is moving, and we are moving with it. And as we are like present with it, as we are more building up more and more awareness, as we are more and more mindful with how we spend our time and where our thoughts go, and what thoughts lead to what emotions, and what's the circle going on in there, and learning how to break that circle of thought feeling, not by just thinking positive thoughts or things like that, but rather by building more space around it, by bringing awareness into it. Bringing awareness into the feeling of disappointment and to the fear and anxiety of that is not going to make it go away just like this. It's not. But what's going to happen is that it's really just going to build a little bit more space around it, and it's going to allow you to have a bit of a gap of discernment between like all these thoughts that are flying through your head, telling you how you're going to be disappointed, how you're going to fail, how other people are going to fail you, and all these things that weigh you down in such a way. Whatever stays in the back of your head that may or may not be in your full awareness of the limiting beliefs that you've been internalizing for a long time ago, one way or another, and where you're operating from here. We can't protect ourselves from disappointment, because the only thing that we can do so we don't get disappointments is to stop feeling. And that means not feeling anything at all. No good, no bad, no joy, no fear, no nothing. And I've been there. There's no way to live. That's not a life. That's complete numbness. And it leads to this, actually. Maybe that's where you're at. If you've been trying to rationalize all this and stay in your head so you don't feel your feelings, because you're afraid that if you open up again, if you open yourself up again to hope or to really hoping something better for yourself, then you're terrified you're going to get disappointed again. And this goes around relationships apparently a lot, but not only. It can be with pretty much everything. What is important for you right now, whether that's your career, whether that's your relationships in terms of friendships or whatever, whether that's a romantic relationship, whether it's family. It's really important to pinpoint it for yourself. Don't expect me to necessarily tell it to you what that is, because you're the one knowing this. You're the one living this story. I'm telling you that there's some stories that are in the back of your head right now, telling you that you're not good enough somehow, and that you're going to be disappointed, that the universe is out there to get you, and you can pinpoint exactly what's that all about. What I'm telling you is that this is not real. I mean, those thoughts are real and they make it a real life and story for you, but it's just stories, and that's what mindfulness is going to bring to you, that awareness that these are stories. And it creates a little bit of that space to check in with the core of my being, and detach a little bit from these stories that I mean, like, not detached in the sense that I want to push them back and not hear them, but bringing me that equanimity, so I am able to observe them without getting drawn into them, without leaving them. Every time we're like into this space of full anxiety for and fear, of disappointment, we're living again that disappointment, because we're connecting it to the past, the moments in the past we've been disappointed, and we're projecting it into the future. We're like constantly drowning in that disappointment, failure, or something like. Okay, let's go through the reading. Yeah. So your current energy is the Six of Swords with the Devil, and the Devil is Capricorn energy, right? So it's not necessarily taken in as the darker side of the devil. It can literally just be like a signifying all the attributes of your sign. And I like that in this deck is that there's an actual goat here. But anyhow, let's read the devil as the card, and not necessarily in connection with Capricorn. The devil does talk about our limitations again. So what holds us back, but also what pulls us forward in so many ways, actually. But what's important with the devil is understanding where is that energy coming from. Because we see ourselves being pulled back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Forth with energy of craving is like we want something, we desire something, we want to go for it, we feel seduced by something, we're jumping over it. Back is like when we're being held back by the shackles of our own attachments, and what's that called? Sorry. Yeah, what in Buddhism they call the five hindrances, which were they have funny names. One of them was craving, actually. Then in Buddhism they say craving is the reason of all suffering. Let's not get too deep into that. But it does make sense. And then what else was it? Sloth and torpor, which basically means laziness, when we're like getting into this lack of energy, and we can't really do much, and we're always tired, which is sounds a lot like depression, really. The third one was, I think, aggression. They call it in a different way. How do they call it? I don't remember how they call it in the Buddhist terms, but it is translated as aggression, like when we get angry at everyone's around us. Why are they people having it better? Look at, I don't know, look at Sagittarius, how chill and happy he is. Look at the Leo, how well they have it now. Now comparing ourselves with the others and being angry and being edgy within ourselves because we get triggered from everything. And what was the fourth and the fifth? So it was craving, sloth and torpor, aggression. Gosh, why I can't remember the other two right now. It's weird because I actually practice with the hindrances, so I find it really, really weird and funny that the other two are kind of obscured right now in my mind. But never mind, this is when these three showed up, so maybe these three are relevant for you right now in terms of like moving away from. And because the Six of Swords talks about like, growth and coming into service, and it's that passage between the lower mind to the higher mind, in a sense, when the mind starts maturing and realizing that it's not just about the self. Okay, it took a while to figure out who am I, what's going on, going into this inner self exploration and so on. But as we start understanding more about the self, we also understand that the extension, the self extends beyond the limits of my body. And I know the close family becomes like extensions of the self. And as we grow into our spiritual path, and more people, like our tribe or friends, kind of become extension of the self, but then the whole world becomes an extension of the self, because we come into that awareness that we are all one and we are all connected and we're all an organism and so on. Well, the Six of Swords is that stage where you're moving away from the Five of Swords, which is that where we're in conflict, where we're in aggression and so on. Oh yeah, we were talking about aggression with this. But it's moving towards, like, it's moving away from something that doesn't hold any kindness for you, you know. But that's at the mental level. It can also mean more like physical, as in like moving away from people that maybe have been holding you back into that energy of aggression and the petty fights and so on. But it can literally be simply your mind energy, your mind finally growing from outgrowing that type of behavior pattern that is not necessary anymore. So I think that, yeah, it's really good that you have the devil here, and working with these three hindrances, with the laziness, and working with the your aggression, and with your craving. What is it that you crave more and more and more, and you never get enough of? Don't judge what you see within yourself. This is why the sixes are actually, I love the sixes. They're amazing energy. We learn to not judge anymore. We learn to be present, and we learn to self-care and be generous, both with ourselves and with the rest of the world. Because when I start judging myself less and instead meeting myself and what I find in my thought patterns and behaviors with that presence of kindness and forgiveness and compassion, that's when I am able to relate in the same way with the people outside of myself, because I finally understand how hard it is and why we need to employ those defense mechanisms in the past or up until now, and how strong these hindrances can be for us, how gripping they can be. I think another of the hindrances was attachment, like clinging. And again, the fifth, I forgot. I still don't know right now. Funny how they come one by one, eh? So yeah, also see what kind of, like, you see how this goes with the sixes is that you're not fighting with this energy. You're observing it with full presence, and the moving on happens naturally. You're going into the flow here. It's a very flowing energy. When I'm resisting my darker sides, when I'm resisting my craving, when I'm starting like putting limitations, don't crave, don't do this, don't be lazy, don't do that. That's when I build inner resistance and I fuel an inner conflict. And these two parts of myself, which becomes the inner critic and the criticized, whoever that is, whether it's the lazy one or the craving one or the angry one, the aggressive one. And nothing wrong with anger. Aggression's the problem. You see, they get fueled by my resistance. So yeah, relaxing with it, having a sit with it, feeling through them is really going to set you free as it happens, slowly, slowly. We're building up resilience to be present with these uncomfortable feelings, and that happens in full acceptance, not in judgment. What's challenging, though, is keep your balance within this progress. and within this process. And it is difficult because when we start like really opening up to first of all accept that we have all these within ourselves present, because most of the time we just want to see the best parts of us, or no, I don't want to feel all these bad feelings because I'm afraid of disappointment. I'm afraid of disappointing myself again when I'm, because maybe we all go through this process quite a few times, and we sit with them and we think that, okay, I got it this time, and I outgrew it, and then here it comes again, it hits me when I less prepared for it. um so yeah, we may have this. Yeah, I keep coming back to that resistance, this resistance showing up, but you think that you have the capacity to stay with it, though, of the Six of Swords here, and yet this will feel quite destabilizing, this will feel quite intense. You're finally going into that point of acceptance, and as I said, maybe some disappointment comes through, maybe some fear comes through, maybe some, yeah, no, losing faith in yourself and in the process can come through. And maybe you're kind of busy right now, there's a lot going on, you need to be present, you need to be into the world, you need to, I don't know, start the work, finish the work. We're entering Capricorn season actually now for Christmas. I'm filming this before Christmas, and I think I'm gonna upload it also before Christmas. So yeah, we're entering the 22nd Capricorn season, right? You have all these things, you need to show up for family, you need to show up for all these, mm, everything that's going on. And your emotions can be quite strong as a result of kind of having a sit and a talk with each and every shadow aspect of yourself that's coming up and holding you back and reminding you that you're a human being and that you have imperfections just like anyone else. And you may feel hold back a little bit with this Knight of Discs. I mean, like, the Knights to talk about expansion and growth, but the Knight of Discs is a bit slow in that growth. You're comfortable with that, though, Capricorn. I mean, like, yes, you can move mountains, but you do it and you're still in an earthly pace. With moving, like, earth energy is slow moving energy. Air energy, super fast. Fire energy as well, super fast. Water is like kind of like flowing, but still faster. The slowest energy is earth. And it makes sense. I mean, like, we think about this. What we think, what we manifest, what we desire, what we hope for, what we feel are happening internally so much faster than it happens whatever we put out into the world. That when there's an avalanche and stuff happening, it's happening, but I mean, like, putting heart and sweat into projects and into that type of progress, like earthly progress. So yeah, it's there, it's happening, it's just a little bit challenging, right? Because you want to get out of here much faster. You just want to be like, okay, yeah, no, you know what, I've set with all these limiting beliefs, and I've welcomed my demons here and my shadow selves, and I'm moving forward. But I can't keep these balls in the air forever. Can we move faster, please? That's what comes to me with these cards right now. Your focus is the star, though, and futility. And I think, yeah, there is futility in trying to hurry this process or trying to resist this process. This is a healing process with the star, It's perfectly fine for you to be in this moment for as long as it takes. And don't worry too much. the more you bring presence into it, and the more you come into awareness with it, and don't you're gonna get lost less and less into the thoughts and into the emotional side of it, because you learn to bring yourself back into presence, back into your awareness. If you don't practice mindfulness, try it out. Just for check out, there's like millions of videos out there about mindfulness. I can put also something in the description box. I do life coaching based on mindfulness, so I can put some videos that explain a little bit how mindfulness works and stuff like that, and try out for yourself what it means to feel, to connect to your body, or to connect to your breath, to find an anchor that brings you into presence and out of your mind, and out of this like future past constant jump of reliving past situation and projecting them into the future. This is your healing process, and you're getting the hang of this. You're getting the hang of this more and more, with more and more cycles as we go deeper and deeper. We're mastering it slowly. So there's no reason to be so afraid. Actually, this reading is very personal growth connected. It's not so much about the outside thing. Yes, of course, you may have good reasons to be afraid, but I'm talking more about the inner landscape here, right? More about how am I relating to my situations and to my life and to my environment and to the people and everything else. Much more than, okay, this happens to you or doesn't happen to you. I do believe that the outside world is literally a reflection of my inside world. It doesn't necessarily mean that if I think bad about myself, I'm attracting bad stuff, or that's a very simplistic way of looking at it. But what I'm thinking is that when I'm able to sit with my inner conflict, I'm much more able to sit with outside conflict. When I'm able to relate with the parts of myself, the opposites of myself, the inner demons, with compassion and presence, then I'm also able to do this with the people outside of myself that normally might trigger the shit out of me and might put me in situations that I don't honor my boundaries, that I do things that I'm not proud of, or say things that I'm not proud of, or that I allow somehow, knowingly or unknowingly, for abuse to happen to me, because I don't really. It is within, so without. And I'm not saying that completely horrible things can happen. Horrible things can happen anyway. I mean, like, I cannot control that. All I can learn to control is how am I relating to my experience and to my own healing journey. And yes, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. And for some of us, more difficult than for others. Depends also the type of experiences that we've had, that we are terrified of here. But this is less about abuse, the way I see it in this reading. Like, what this hints more is just about disappointments. And yes, people can disappoint us in so many ways, and we can disappoint ourselves in so many ways, and we can disappoint others in so many ways. So it's all around that somehow. That's why I may feel like definitely stay present with this process and really allow yourself to. It's very internal somehow, this reading, even more than others. All my readings are internal, but this one, it feels really internal. Weirdly enough, I don't have any like hermit energy or High Priestess, but it still feels very internal. Maybe because of this devil here, and because it's a Capricorn reading, so it's so much about these inner aspects and the hindrances and the identification with my shadows. But again, this is the star, and this is your focus. It's your healing. Focus on learning to bear the emotions rather than be your emotions. You're not your emotions, and you're not your thoughts, and you're not your demons, and you're not your fears, and you're not your disappointments. You are more than the sum of your parts. Emotions come and go, everything comes and goes, thoughts come and go, and quite fast that is. So in a sense, it's actually really good that you can ground into this earth energy now. You know, you can be vulnerable, be naked here, be fully yourself, and allow yourself to bear these emotions, but don't hold them. Let them come and let them go. Keep observing, and you'll find that balance within. Advice. Again, don't. What was the other hindrance? Clinging. Yeah. Don't cling to resistance. Don't hold on to the like wanting to have it like one way or another. Don't get too attached to one way or another of being. Your healing process happens for you the way you need it, not the way you want it. So yeah, maybe I don't want to face certain parts of myself, but those are the parts of me that keep me stuck. And advice, yeah, it talks about love, it talks about the heart, it talks about connections, it talks about disappointments. You're afraid to put yourself out there. And I think it has to do with emotionally. Your heart had been broken in the past. And you've been deeply disappointed. But I feel there had been time here for you to process, or it is time now for you to process this, because the Three of Swords talks a lot about processing. You may be in the midst of the storm here with all this, like you see the clouds and the rain there, so there's confusion. But it is that time where you have the space to align your mind with your heart. See, these three swords are piercing the heart, but there's no blood coming through. They're not hurting the heart. They're connecting to the heart. So, you know, it's time to connect to your heart right now, and it's time to bring yourself that type of love and compassion for your past hurts, for the times where you felt rejected. But it's that time of compassion that it's like, okay, I'm fully aware, and I accept that this had happened to me, and I accept that I've been carrying these feelings for so long. But it doesn't mean that I need to relive again and again this situation. I have love and compassion, but that's a type of goodbye love and compassion. I was like, okay, I acknowledge you, I see you, and I set you free in a sense, you know? That means talking to your heart and your past hurts. And you're bringing yourself together in alignment, and that allows you to open your heart to the outside world again, to allow the people that you fear might disappoint you to come closer and to give it a chance, you know, to allow that type of deeper connection. And you know, Capricorn, like out of all the signs, you're the most fenced up. You're the one that shows the least vulnerability. You always need to be strong and powerful. Well, Scorpio has its own trip there, but in a different way. You Capis are like, whoo. I mean, like, come on, with my ascendant. I can't. I can't say I can't relate. I mean, like, of course I relate, and I understand it. I understand it deeply. We feel in a sense that we need to figure it out for ourselves, to be the provider, to be strong all the time, to keep moving, to keep the balls in the air, to keep keep working hard and so on. And this is one of our toughest lessons, to learn to be vulnerable, to learn to connect more from heart space. And you want connection just like anyone else. We are all wired for connection and for love, wanting connection, wanting love, wanting to be seen, wanting to be appreciated for who we are. You just don't show it so much to the world, and you kind of like tend to act in practical, tough ways in order to get things done. And people in your life can be confused and doesn't mean you don't feel these things. You feel them greatly. But it's time to not attach your past stories to the identity of who you are. And it doesn't mean that in the past you've been betrayed, cheated on, abandoned, or rejected or disappointed, that it's going to happen again and again and again. It really doesn't mean that. We're creating these situations if I create an identity based on that. I hope that makes sense to someone out there. It may not make sense to everyone. And I can't go too deep into this because, it's already 40 something minutes within the reading. It's going to be a long one, apparently. But this is going great, actually, because, Empress is all about, like, full presence, full, presence in the body and in love, like bringing love into that broken heart and allowing the mind and the heart to sort of align and realize that you're not damaged, that you're enough, that you are amazing just as you are, that whatever hurt you in the past does not define you. But there is a much deeper sense of you, which is at the core of your being, really centered. And that's untouchable. What you find that inner power, you allow this inner feminine, the strongest part of you, of the feminine side, to nurture you into love, into presence, into your being less about doing and more about being, not being in doing mode all the time. And that's another thing Capricorn has a bit of a issue with, is that it tends to be too much. I need to do stuff all the time. I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to work hard, I need to achieve, I need to make it happen, because that's how we are being conditioned. But the Empress is less about doing and more about being into presence, being aware, being here and now. And that's going to bring you lots of joy with the 10 of Cups here. Feeling really fulfilled, feeling really happy. This is what brings you happiness, allowing to come into presence and divorcing these thought patterns that don't serve you anymore, and they were meant to protect you at some point, and they did their job at some point, but now they're just like broken records. So as you allow your mind to kind of relax and move away from these fears and doubts that you keep coming up within you, and as you come in full presence with your process, with your being, accepting who you are at your deepest core, that is full joy and full empowerment here, Capricorn. So that's amazing, and you deserve this so much after this tough year. Well, so it's a really good start of the year. It's a really good start of the year. Okay, let's see what Rumi says with the wisdom of the heart. For those of you who don't know, Rumi is a Sufi poet from the 13th century, I think. Okay, he wanted to come out. Let's come out. The lover and the beloved. Look at that. 2 of cups over there. For some of you, might be about 35. That means 8. Nice. For some of you, might really be that somebody's coming into your life, or that you're coming closer to some of you, to your partners and things like that. So it can turn romantic, but not for everybody. As I said, this is still very internal, and the ability to relate to others has to do with the ability of staying and being present and aware of ourselves and nurturing ourselves, so can be there for others as well, and be able to open ourselves to others without shame, without trying to hide and so on. Okay, I'm reading. So the poem says, when you move beyond consciousness, you caress the beloved. When you move into the unknown, beyond everything, the beloved caresses you. Oh, yes. Let's see what's the guidance that's coming here for you. This oracle brings you a message. Something has to change in your physical world. You are in need for more sustenance, more love, more connection, and more nourishment that touches your body and soul and brings them into deeper oneness with each other, with life, with love. There you open up and allow that love in. The great beloved has desired that this be so. Will you heed that holy desire? Will you allow love in? Look at this. The love is coming to soothe your heart, and it's not coming from anywhere else but within you, actually. You're in need for more sustenance, more love, more connection, and more nourishment that touches your body and soul and brings them into deeper oneness with each other, with life and with love. There you open up and allow that love in. Oh yes, say yes, say yes. If you find this difficult, now is the time to gently, carefully tend to the walls you once placed between yourself and life. Walls of tentativeness, excessive caution, fear of abandonment and betrayal. Look at that, thank you. Doubt for your own lovableness, and doubts based on past pain without substance. This is pretty much everything I said in this reading, but way faster and better. Better structured. Thank you, Rumi. Or Alana Fairchild is the one who actually put this oracle together. So thanks, lady. All right, so you're... You are so much greater than these crumbling walls. They are the stuff that is designed for demolition, not devotion and honoring. Can you begin to unpack the bricks you mistakenly believed were essential to your safety and well-being? You are too vast a sea for that small puddle of thought now. The oceanic world of love is your true home, and the sun is beating down upon you. It is too hot to gaze at the ocean longingly from afar, or even stand by its edge. Strip off your layers. Run to the ocean and dive in. This oracle brings you special guidance. An offer or opportunity is on its way to you, or has recently been presented. It may be an idea you have been nurturing, or one presented to you by another person. Sit with it. Do you feel exhilaration? Do you feel energy at the thought of saying yes? Then say yes. Allow yourself to receive. There is divine encouragement in taking risks that feel wild and alive to your heart. All right, my dear Capricorn, well, this is your reading. I hope it makes sense. I hope it brings you some guidance of how to navigate your energy right now. If you resonated with it, please like, share, and subscribe so it can reach as many people out there in need for this particular reading. And yeah, here we go again. Happy birthday, happy holidays, happy new year, and have an amazing start of the new year. See you in 2020.